Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series of Zerg versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map. We get to play a little bit of trivia again. I believe... yeah, these accents. I believe that this is Hecate. I might be wrong. Spotting right here in the bottom left-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones. Introducing himself with a GLHF, we have none other than Reynor. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Protoss pieces. I would consider this man to be top 3, nah, maybe top 5, maybe top 10 actually. Yeah, I would say, yeah, top 10 for sure. Top 10 Dutch StarCraft YouTube content creators. We're looking inside of the main base of Harstem. Alright, sorry, that's a little mean. What are we saying? Ricky at 7 PM, El Clasico. Ricky is Mr. Sortov, who I haven't really heard a whole lot of over the last couple of months, really. I believe he's in Korea right now. I think I saw him tweet about that, but I haven't really seen any of his games. Either way, Harstem actually sent me this particular best-of-3 series, so I'm hoping that the series is going to be good. Generally speaking, I've noticed that whenever Harstem sends me any replays, he's a very humble man, of course. He generally sends losses. Yeah, I think he knows that I'm gonna mention that he sends the replays over, and therefore it looks really good if he sends me losses instead of wins. So I don't know exactly if that's gonna be the case in this particular series as well. Generally speaking, I do believe that it's safe to say that Reynor is the more accomplished player than Harstem. Not to be mean or anything, but Reynor, of course, ended up winning Gamers 8 just very recently, a couple of months ago, for like $150,000 first place prize. Reynor does seem to go through phases where he plays tons of StarCraft and he's really, really good at the game. And other phases where he's kind of cruising a little bit, waiting until another premier tournament comes along that he really needs to practice hard for. And then, well, once again, he doubles down his practice regime and he is absolutely at the top of the game. But he does definitely have peaks and valleys in his gameplay. So we'll have to see exactly what Reynor we're going to get here today. Either way, this is going to be a very, interesting opener by Harstem as he decides to go for the Twilight Council. I always kind of feel like this is one of those, what the kids call mid-openers. I don't really like Twilight Council builds that much. I mean, it can work out. I would say the most popular variant is the Glaive Adept opener, which is likely the version that Harstem is going to play as well. The thing is, whenever you see somebody like playing a Glaive Adept opener against the top-level Zergs, like for example Reynor, it doesn't really seem to deal that much damage, but if you look at it being executed against, well, everybody below a Reynor skill level, aka most players out there, it seems a lot more effective. Like, if you do that build against me on the ladder, I will die to it 10 out of 10 times, you know what I mean? Like, if it's well executed, it's really, really powerful. The problem is that the top-level Zergs generally don't take a lot of damage from it. One downside of opening up with a Twilight Council, compared to, for example, just a regular Oracle start, is that your third Nexus is going to be super late. Now, this is nice. Killing an Overlord here, because there's not a lot of space here for an Overlord to hang out. There's a little pillar over here, but maybe Reynor was not quite ready to park his Overlord above this very creepy-looking flower. Yeah, you know what? If I was an Overlord, I wouldn't want to be floating above that either. This is a flower with a very peculiar shape right over there at the very top of it. Anyways, it is indeed going to be Glaive Adepts here. So it should be 4 gateways in total. We're going to warp in a bunch of Adepts and we're going to get some damage done on the other side. Now, this is kind of cute right here from Mr. Harstem. Going for a Nexus at 340 or so. Is he going to be able to keep it alive? That's the main question here. Because it shouldn't stay alive. But the thing is, yeah, with this particular amount of Zerglings, you're not going to really be able to get a whole lot done. So Reynor right now preparing, yep, there it is, for an Oracle opener. He saw the timing of the third Nexus. It looked like an Oracle start, but there's no Oracle flying across the map at all. So instantly he drops down a Roach Warren here instead, and he fires up a lot of links. He's going to need an army for when this unit composition is going to move across the map. So this is now a Glaive Adept opener with a really quick third Nexus on the back of it, and now suddenly I do like it a whole lot more. Now you're not really forced into dealing a whole lot of damage, although Adepts, they do still tend to fall off as the game progresses. He's taking an interesting route as well towards the other side of the map, taking this bridge over here on the right side. So this is the first time that Reynor really sees what he's playing against. I mean, he did see Adepts being warped in on the other side of the map, but this is the first time he sees them over here on the creep. Alright, now how many drones will go down? That's the question. Honestly, any drone kill at this point is nice. Obviously, you don't just want to throw away your Adepts. But any worker kill at this point is a nice one. A couple of the Adepts over here at the back have decided to retarget, and they're going to commit on over towards the main base. Roaches are about to pop. Once these adepts are cleaned up, there's a chance that Reynor can do something with this army that he's been producing for a while on the other side. But yeah, with the third Nexus already up nice and early, we're gonna have a shield battery by the time Zerg gets across. These adepts are still just being annoying. And in the end, you know what? Even though this is not one of my favorite Protoss openers, I like that Harstem decided to mix it in. He did an excellent job over there. Now he's transitioning towards double Robo into a Robo Bay. Okay. Is this going to be for Disruptors? Is this going to be for Colossi? The opponent has already shown Roach play. So you'd imagine that Colossi are not really going to be that great of an option. Is this going to be for Prism speed? Are we going to rush out the Observer speed upgrade? I'd be surprised. We'll have to see exactly what he decides to do from here. Okay, so Reynor not really capitalizing on all of that army that he's got right now. I mean, he didn't really make that much. He's not marching it across the map. Maybe a little concerned that a couple cheeky adepts just like these two would suddenly show up in his natural expansion, and at that point, if you have all of those roaches on the other side of the map, maybe you can kill a zealot or an adept or two on the other side, but if it comes at the cost of all of that worker mining here, yeah, it's not ideal. And honestly, this is looking really stellar here for Harstem. Okay, so if you look right here, it's by the way gonna be a Colossus. Double Colossus. Interesting. Oh, I can't actually show you guys the exact... Alright, the exact income graph, because this is not played with all of the additional observer tools added to this particular game. I guess that's because these two probably played this particular series early on into the ESL Open Cup, so there weren't any casters for this match. I may actually be doing a world premiere right now. No live commentary, I don't think, at the very least, for when these games were played. Anyhow, I can't show you the exact income graph like I ordinarily would, but you can still see right here that this has been a really nice beginning here for our Protoss player, for sure. But now you do have to play Reynor in a macro game. Okay. And that is always difficult. What are we gonna do with all of these Colossi, though? So, yeah, the Mil Ursa deck over here, he steps out of the way when the Laser Giraffe shows up. This is a unit that is very good at killing Zerglings. It's very good at killing Hydras. It sucks at killing everything else. So if you haven't watched StarCraft in some time, back in the day, the Colossus was more of like a jack-of-all-trades type of unit, and there's been a lot of talk about maybe making it a little bit more well-rounded once again, but these days the Immortal, so the other unit you can make out of the Robo facility, is very, very good against armored units. This unit over here is very good when it comes to killing light units. Now, it obviously deals damage to roaches, but not nearly as much as you would like. Interesting follow-up here, though, so we're gonna go into Blink right now, together with the +1 ground weapons. Zergling counterattack here, trying to maybe, yeah, get a wrap around on that Nexus, but that's not going to happen. Just on a little trip over here, running around the map. Ultimately, though, this is giving the Zerg a lot of freedom. So what exactly is Reynor going to transition into right now? Looks like he is just going for the good old normal. Now, obviously, the good old normal is not quite as powerful as it once used to be. Roach Ravager Ling Bane is still a good unit composition, but Banelings are noticeably weaker. Obviously, they're also no longer able to one-shot probes with +2 melee, which is honestly going to make quite the difference, because generally, yeah, I mean, they don't have +2 melee yet anyways, they have +1 finished up right now, but generally there are going to be loads of Banelings off to the side, ready to absolutely ravage a mineral line like that. Immortals coming up right now too, okay. So I'm curious to see if we're gonna see Disruptors, because Disruptors also got nerfed a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, these probes don't have a lot of places to go, although I would like to see it... Okay, Reynor decides to preserve his units for now, because he knew that his opponent was going to be able to warp and stuff over there. There was still a sentry for force fields too, so he decided to give his opponent some respect there and not commit to the mineral line, but he certainly could have tried. The problem is he's already a little on the back foot after that early game, so I can imagine that throwing away army is not really at the top of his list of priorities right now. There's the +2 melee starting up though, still a good upgrade. It's still going to help out against, for example, Zealots and, well, everything else that the Protoss has, because a lot of the damage in these fights looks like it comes out of the Ravagers and the Roaches, but really it's the Zerglings putting in the majority of the work. Okay, so where is Harstem going to take this game from here? We're basically going for an aggressive start with a greedy third Nexus, and now we're just sitting on top of this high ground, 4 Nexi. We're just gonna try and defend against whatever the Zerg will throw at us. I like that most of the time, so these are some stellar force fields, by the way. Look at that Zealot holding the line. Oh, lovely force fields. Okay, there's a little bit of a gap, but still really not that many workers going down. Okay, never mind. There were somehow, some way more banelings staying alive there. I mean, with 4 Nexi though, killing 16 probes, it's not as dramatic as it looks. That was not cheap for the Zerg whatsoever. That was a lot of Lings and Zerglings, or Lings and Banes rather, going down there. I thought ultimately we wouldn't see that many worker losses, but that was a little bit more. If the Nexus would have gone down, that would have been a disaster, I suppose. But he can remake these workers and these probes pretty easily. Yeah, we're already going back up. I wonder what the plan right now for Harstem is. So I've noticed that Harstem likes to sit around on a ground-based army for longer than the majority of the top-level Protoss players out there. He doesn't really seem to be too fond to play that Skytol Space Force. So, there's a reason, of course, why we do see Skytals all the time. It's because off of an economy like this, Reynor can keep throwing units at you all the time. Now, Banelings coming in from the left as well, killing quite a few probes there too. Maybe not quite as many as they would have in the new patch, but yeah. There's no denying that now we're going up to 27. And what tends to happen, right, with these sorts of armies, is that ultimately, yeah, it's going to be strong, yeah, it will max out, but ultimately the Zerg is going to be able to remax multiple times to kill it. At least that's what we see very frequently. There's no charge yet, by the way. Oh, I think Harstem only just now realized that. He was looking at the speed of those zealots. He's like, wait a second, that is not quite right. Obviously, though, this is a bulldozer army, right? We don't have Brute Lords here. We don't have Lurkers. We have got nothing here that can properly shut this army down. It's just Roach Ravager Ling Bane. And this is not a unit composition that's quite as powerful anymore as it once used to be. So let's see. Reynor setting up what seems to be a surround. Units are ready to commit to this fight from any angle. And here we go. This is apparently where Reynor decides to pull the trigger. There's a lot of Storm available. There's quite a few Colossi still available too, putting in a lot of supplemental damage. Archons and Immortals over there, stepping out front. Not microed back right there on purpose, just to try and take as many hits as possible. That group of units, though, I think it was mostly Stalkers up there, did end up getting sniped. Harstem may just be going full bulldozer. I would have loved to see a prism with this force so we could actually instantly reinforce it, but I guess we can start walking units from the 4th base all the way down towards this, this low ground, or I guess from the 3rd base of the Protoss player. Those storms are lethal, though. There's no light at the end of the tunnel, though, for Reynor. I think he's not really too quick on transitioning after that early game towards, for example, Brute Lords, but I think he also may have been a little surprised right here by the passivity of this Protoss army and by the lack of, like, late-game transitions here from Harstem. He could have certainly gone up to Brute Lords here if he decided to make that choice. He could have definitely added Lurkers into the mix, but at this point, it's an awkward moment. He can't really do it anymore. Zealots over here in the meantime have also taken care of that hatchery we saw a little further down south. Okay. Harstem has now also brought a Prism into the mix. We still have 5 High Templar. Most of them have at least energy for 1 Storm. Is there going to be enough damage? Okay. Those Storms, I mean, that was lovely. Those Banelings died quicker because, of course, they have 5 less hit points as they once used to be. Nice control right here. Once again, coming out of the Dutchman. GG is cold. And Harstem outplays Reynor here in game number 1. Golden Aura is game number 2. Harstem not really making any mistakes there in game number 1. Honestly, the only trick he really pulled on his opponent was that really quick 3rd Nexus. You could tell that Reynor was caught off guard just a little bit. But other than that, he played an excellent game. Didn't really make any critical errors whatsoever, and he just, yeah, played a little bit better than Reynor. You love to see it, okay. Year of Harstem? It might be the year of Harstem, guys. Only time will tell. I mean, maybe 2024, because 2023 is already almost ending, right? Maybe 2024. I gotta say, though, I really do like where Zerg vs. Protoss is currently at with the new multiplayer balance patch. I like the fact that Banelings aren't quite as explosive as they once used to be, and the same can be said for Disruptors. I think in the previous patch we would have definitely seen Disruptor play, but yeah, not something that Harstem decided to go for. The Immortal change is also low-key one of the better upgrades, I think. It, yeah, definitely seems just a little bit more powerful overall, a little bit more tanky. Especially in PvT, obviously, but anyhow, let's see. Cybernetic score coming up here at home. And we'll see what sort of opener Harstem decides to go for this time around. I don't think you can really play Twilight Council 2 games in a row. I don't think it's a very good choice. He did decide to, of course, send that really quick probe across the map to block the Zerg's natural. A lot of Zerg players have been counteracting it, or a lot of Zerg players. Primarily Serral. He's been going for that 15 hatch on the low ground, which on most maps can still allow you a expansion as your very first structure, rather than, you know, being forced to take your third instead. Reynor, though, just like most of the top level Zergs, opting to just go for the standard expansion over here at the third base location. This is one of those moves that's annoying if you're kind of bad at the game, but I would say that probably in like 50% of the games, if not more, Reynor is going to be forced to take the third base as his first expansion, and it really isn't that much of a downside anymore. Apparently he considers it a benefit, yeah, rather than opening up 2 hatch and eventually taking a third, he'll be taking a third over in the natural expansion here eventually. Now, this time around, it will be a Stargate opener here from Harstem. I'm assuming this will just be a good old Oracle. Oracle's still very powerful, but again, one of those units that needs to be microed really, really well. Guys like Max Packs, like Hero, seem to get so much value out of Oracles, and then you look at some of the other Protoss players out there, and they just don't get quite as much value. Like, it's critical that you keep the unit alive, because it provides so much value in the mid-game as well, with Revelations, but also just when it comes to, like, killing Zerglings and Ravagers. But you ideally want to kill, like, 10 workers, you kind of want to kill like 2 digits worth of drones, but at the same time you don't want to lose your oracles, and yeah, much easier said than done. Anyways, we've got a couple of adepts over here being annoying, working in unison right there. Even though they were on opposite ends of the base, they still ended up killing a drone. Not a bad start. Okay, Oracle indeed is going to be our first unit. I think we're going to see 3 oracles. I think 3 oracles is the way to go. Although I'm a big fan of going for more than just 3. Alright, first Oracle has made his way across. So far, achieved absolutely nothing. Here's the dance, though. Can the Adepts distract his army? Okay, yeah, they can. That's 2. Can we... okay. 5 drones here in total. Definitely not bad. I think we could have had 1 more right there, but the misfire... not quite optimal. But then again, right? Like, you really don't want to go any lower than this amount of, like, base health on the Oracle. Second Oracle now also available. At the cost of 2 Adepts, I would not consider this a bad start. Twilight Council on the back of this. So we'll probably see Blink Stalkers here together with the +1 ground weapons. Although we should probably see a Forge here momentarily as well, if that's going to be the case. In the meantime, though, on the other side, Reynor just happily droning up. We'll probably see Reynor making a decision as far as... oh, no. Okay, well, that sucks. We'll probably see what Reynor decides to go for here in just a moment. Forcing the council there as well on one of the gateways. Not bad whatsoever. It's those little moves, though. Just flying in one of your oracles over the creep, being met by a bunch of queens. Even if the unit is not even that expensive and you can remake it if you really want to, I always kind of feel like it's more or less a moral hit too, you know? Like, you know that you shouldn't be losing it, you try your absolute hardest to micro these units so well, and then you kind of find yourself morally a bit defeated when you end up losing a unit that you know it really shouldn't have gone down, right? The Zerglings, though, distracting you on the other side of the map, making it all the while a little bit more difficult. +1 melee here once again from Reynor. Okay, so he can, of course, transition towards something else here later on, too. But for now, we'll see a similar beginning, at least, as we saw in the previous game. I think it's probably going to be Roach Ravager Ling Bane once again, although it'll be Lings and... well, queens for the time being, but usually it seems to lead towards Roaches and Ravagers here eventually, too. Okay. So, Blink indeed coming up. There's that Forge. We're gonna go for another Oracle, so it will be 3 Oracles here in total. Yeah, Revelation is a lovely little ability. Another small little buff they gave to the Oracle years ago is that the Revelation now lasts... well, I mean, it used to last twice as long and it used to cost twice as much energy. It's a whole lot better now when it comes to sniping those creep tubers. Ooh, lovely play right there by Reynor, though. Yeah, forcing the recall immediately. That was a quick recall. And I think not really anything died other than maybe this Stalker, who apparently was, I don't know, maybe all army hotkeyed or maybe a bit overly adventurous there. He wanted to be a part of the control group too. I think everybody else stayed alive, though. All right. So Reynor has now finished up his 4th base. He had all of those links, not really achieving a whole lot with them. Maybe a bit afraid of like a big attack on the back of this. He can maybe use them though to, yeah, delay this 4th base for at least a little bit. Quite a few Zerglings though end up getting sniped. But all things considered right now, what Reynor is really trying to do is catch up economically. He has been a little bit behind in the work account for some time. But of course, that larva mechanic allows him to make a whole lot of drones all in one go. So the 4th base is going to be fully saturated soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if, ooh, we see something over at the top section of the map as well here in just a moment. Only 2 workers have gone down so far. No O-Army hotkeying on that Zealot. Hero right now watching this video, taking notes. He's like, wait, what? You can... Sorry, Hero. Hero doesn't watch my videos. It bothers me to no end, though, when you see top-level players O-Army hotkeying their Zealot or Adept away from the mineral line. It's just... Or from the choke point, rather. It's just so sloppy, man. It's unnecessary. Anyhow, at this point, this section of the map is looking nicely tucked in, right? I mean, there is a stasis ward over here. We've got a full wall of gateways. We could certainly leave a Templar or 2 behind as well. I think this is a good spot for the Templar. You can still maneuver them to storm right over here. You can still maneuver them to storm over here, obviously, when the Psionic Storm upgrade is done. Anyways, Lynx right now trying to get a jump on this base. They have +1 melee at this point, and yeah. Alright, that large group of Zerglings. Oh, no cancel. That large group of Zerglings there, honestly, I didn't expect them to get too much done, but... Whoa, 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 whoa. That was a beautiful sequence of events right there. I wasn't even paying attention to the Templar because I figured they would be okay. A small group of Lynx split off from the main army and they killed everything? Whew, okay. So not only did Reynor get a kill on a Nexus, he killed 2 Templar as well as an Archon. Suddenly that big group of Zerglings paid for itself, right? I mean... Maybe not quite optimal, maybe not exactly what he was hoping for. What is this? Reynor rushing out a double Lurker Den. So we have no Roach Warren, by the way, as far as I know. No, we've gone straight into a Hydra Den, and then double Lurker Den. Okay. Now the only reason to go double Lurker Den is if you also have a Hive. We're already there. If that's the case, though, we could have gone for the double Lurker Den a little bit quicker. Zerglings once again committing over here. There is Storm available at this point. One of the Templar. Not quite yet. I don't have enough energy yet. Okay, at least we do morph in 1 Archon to try and keep all of this around for a little while longer. Yeah. Ultimately, that fight was not quite great right there for the Zerg. I think what Reynor is trying to do, though, is just do a big transition over here towards, well, mass Lurker. He noted successfully in game number 1 that Harstem was sticking around on a ground army for a very long time. And if the transition is going to be similar this time around too... Yeah, there we go. Double Lurker Den, huh. If the transition is going to be identical once more... Obviously, Lurkers are going to be a phenomenal unit. Broodlords or Lurkers generally are the main unit to counter that ground Protoss army with. And Harstem, of course, got slowed down quite a bit, right? When he lost that 4th Nexus, when he ended up losing those Templar, he needs to remake that. He now basically has to sit here, just like he did in game number 1, but now from a position that I don't like nearly as much for him. Reynor also cutting corners by skipping a lot of tech. He is going Banelings once again, by the way. So this is Lurker Ling Bane. New unit composition? I don't know. Interesting one, that's for sure. So suddenly, both of those upgrades finish up at the same time. Now, I don't really know exactly how significant this is going to be. But if you want to get something done with the Lurkers, right now would be the time. This is before the Protoss assumes you will have both upgrades, but yeah, there's a nice distraction going on here inside of the main base. Lynx, though, well upgraded at this point, are going to be able to make short work of those Zealots. Okay. It could also just be that Reynor thought, I have enough money at this point. I need to get my Lurker upgrades. That honestly, the main concern that I have right now. If I can't get my Lurker upgrades, I may as well just get double Lurker Den instead. Maybe he was trying to catch up because he was a little bit late on the first Lurker Den. This fight over here, I don't know why we're out here, Harstem. Okay. I think he ended up losing a little bit more than he needed to, but nothing all too expensive. I guess only 2 additional High Templar went down there. You know what? That fight was actually not as bad as it looked there for the Protoss. Although he didn't really achieve that much. Yeah, he did kill 2 Lurkers. I guess if you trade 2 Lurkers for 2 High Templar, it's really not bad. Now, where is this game gonna go from here? That's my main question. Once again, we have a fight on creep without the Lurkers present, though. Okay. Protoss losing some of their heavy hitters now. Those Templar, very exposed. Oh, no. Yeah, there's a reason why generally we don't see that movement. Now suddenly, well, we have a bunch of Immortals here waiting off to the left. Or to the right, rather. We do also have a bunch of Lurkers now being pushed back. I actually didn't think that that was going to be too good. I thought we were going to see the Zerg player moving forward there and maybe start sieging those Lurkers in range of some of those probes here on the left, but not quite the case. Reynor, yeah, they're just remaking army. My god, Harstem, this movement here is making me really uncomfortable. Big Zealot warp in the meantime on the other side of the map too. Reynor right now with 100 army supply and 100 drones, at least when I started that sentence. You love to see it. Triple digits worth of drones. That's exactly what we're aiming for. Okay. So no transition from Harstem into like a fleet beacon, into a mama ship, into anything. We're just sticking around on Archon, Zealot, Immortal, Storm. Do I like it? That's what I feel like. There's this weird dynamic, right, between Lurkers and ground toss, where, like, generally speaking, the Lurkers seem to win with a landslide victory, but sometimes whenever you have enough numbers, right, whenever you have a large group of Immortals and Archons, they can tank enough damage to actually be able to, like, walk into the Lurker spines and absolutely overwhelm them. And that may just be what Harstem is going for here. Like, he really is doubling down on the Immortal production, but oftentimes the Lurkers make the Immortals look awfully mortal. And when we're throwing away army like this, I'm not a huge fan of it. That being said though, Harstem is also dangerously close to triple digits worth of probes here himself, so he can remax pretty easily. Okay, do we have enough here? Look at those Immortals, man. The Immortals are just straight up fighting all of those Lurkers. Link's joining in the fray too. Obviously, they're an additional target that those Immortals would rather not be occupied with. Okay, he's even gonna start knocking down the rocks himself. Fair enough. Obviously, the Lurker spines also can shoot underneath, right? So it's not that big of a deal. We have a potential Sky Zerg transition here coming up. I wouldn't mind seeing a Greater Spire here. I think Brute Lords would be a lovely choice. I also wouldn't mind a shield battery here, like something over there to like battery overcharge so the Immortals can step a little bit further away, because this one won't be in range. Anyway, this is apparently a moment where Reynor decides to pull the trigger, and I am not convinced that that was the best move. That was only a small chunk of the Protoss army over at this third base or fourth base, and there was a lot more Protoss waiting over here in this section of the map. What a transition. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. 19 Lurkers have gone down. And in total, we have 19 Immortals and, well, Archons as well that have fallen. The +1 air weapons with a Corruptor is a little bit funky. I guess the Corruptor is just here to kill the Prism, because this Prism has been a thorn in Reynor's side here for a while. Constantly just sending in a Zealot or two. It's not even really that much damage that it deals, but it's annoying, right? So, in total, it's really only a handful of drones that have gone down, and the majority of that was the Oracle together with the Adepts in the earlier stages of the game. Okay. So, eventually that Prism will be dealt with. This would make me a little concerned, though, right now, if I were Harstem, that the clock is ticking, that we are going to be playing against Brute Lords and Lurkers here very soon. Big circling run by over here. Greater Spire now coming up. Okay. This is not a good enough army to fight all of this, though. It's awkward to see this Protoss force, well, in the way that we see it right now. So many Archons have already fallen. We're, by the way, prioritizing the +3 shields upgrade over any sort of armor upgrade. So we do have +1 armor on the Protoss units too, but we're really trying to buff up those Protoss shields. And obviously the Archons are the unit that benefits from that the most. Yeah, just no Skytles. No higher tier units. I honestly think a few Colossi here would probably not be a bad choice either against this amount of links. Although I say that, there is now 21 Lurkers available. Is there enough right now for Protoss to still overwhelm this? A couple of Lurkers have split themselves off from the main group. Okay, looks like Archons at the very least have decided to back up for now. Those Lurkers here on the right side are starting to pile on the pressure. Probes over here will stay alive, and apparently Harstem does decide to allow some of his units to move forward. Zealots right now coming in from the north as well with Archons and Immortals. He's stepping into the field of Lurkers, and he actually kills them all. Ay. Well, in the meantime, these Lurkers over here, though, so much work done, right? Like, that's 16 probes that have gone down. Maybe some of them over here at that fourth as well, but... Still, though, what would you do right now if there were a dozen Brute Lords on the production tab? I mean, Reynor can afford it. He's just decided not to do it. Big Zergling run by. Okay. Zealots here will prevent that from happening, at least for now. I think it's time to go. I think we're at the point where Protoss needs to start marching. Reynor has given a lot of time over here to reproduce his Lurker count, so he is still here, yeah, thinking that the Lurker is indeed the answer to this ground-based army, but my god. Harstem putting the word immortal into the Immortals here. Okay, well, that's a lot of Zealots going down. Not quite as immortal. How many Lurkers? 42 Lurkers. Yeah, now suddenly that ratio is looking a whole lot better. Did have a little bit of a Zergling run by the way, over here too, but... Now suddenly that ratio of Immortal Archon versus Lurker is not looking all too bad right here for the Protoss. And yeah, I agree with this. I think it's time to go. As weird as this unit composition is, those Oracles, by the way, from the early game still helping out. We have to get something done on the other side of the map. Brute Lords are on the horizon. And once again, I think Reynor essentially has felt like he couldn't really make that transition all too easily in these games. But I think in both game number 1 and 2, he could have been there already. And honestly, I'm still not sure how you're going to push into it, but Harstem has already pulled that trigger a couple of times. I feel like this is going to inspire a bunch of Protoss players on the ladder to play this unit composition too, and they're going to fail horribly, because Archon Immortal tends to get destroyed by these Lurkers, but here we go. This is too much, man. It's too much Protoss. Yeah, the numbers are just not there for Reynor, and his Lurker army is getting absolutely demolished. Drones in the meantime are falling as well in the bottom left-hand corner as Reynor decided to sneak out the golden base. With a Zealot over here on the watchtower, I mean, he saw that coming in from a mile away. The Archon Immortal Stormball over here, though, getting so much work done. It's just mass Archon Immortal. Look at this. This is not the unit composition that can counter that. Yeah, you may have 2 Lurkers, but you need a single Lurker den at the very least to be able to produce another Lurker den. I think that's the one corruptor that we had from the earlier stages of this match when we, well, ended up sniping that one Warp Prism. One hero Brute Lord. I want to believe in the hero Brute Lord, but this is so many worker losses here, right now for Reynor. In the meantime, we had some units split off as well from the main pack. 43 drones just got destroyed, and Harstem, playing a pretty unorthodox way, is showing us that, yeah, this is an army composition that's to be respected. With +3/+3 shields, it's a very powerful unit comp. We're gonna go into full ground upgrades, by the way. Okay, well, the Zerglings, of course, did end up getting rid of this base on the right side of the map, and they're gonna do the same thing once again. Harstem's economy is not looking all too healthy either, but it's certainly not as bad as Reynor's is right now. 7 Brute Lords, though, are coming up. So, Lurkers with Brute Lords. What are we gonna do against these Brutes? Because we need something. None of these Protoss units can reach Brute Lords, and Stalkers aren't really an option, because... Okay. 1 Void Ray. I want to believe in the power of the Void Ray, I really do, but... I would not mind seeing another Stargate or 2, but if you look at the resources right now at the bottom of your screen, there's just not that much available. And here go the Brute Lords. The Brute Lords are moving forward. Obviously, with the new multiplayer balance patch, they're a little bit easier to micro. At this point, though, we have 1 Hydra here for anti-air, which is not ideal. I wonder if Reynor maybe has forgotten about the Stargate from, you know, minute 3 of this match. Here he comes. The hero Brute Lord. Or sorry, the hero Void Ray. The only answer against the Brute Lords, and apparently this is, yeah, gonna be our main goal? I mean, the Hydralisk is gone, I guess. Yeah, the Hydra already got destroyed. Reynor doesn't have enough money here to remake all of this. He doesn't have enough Corruptors to deal with that one Void Ray. Oh no, there's one Void Ray killing everything. Bzzzt, 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 bzzzt. Yeah, Harstem just running. Well, at this point, I don't think he needs to run anymore. There's not enough Zerg available to really be much of a problem for him. Bzzzt, bzzzt. Still going to town right there. GG is cold. And it's Harstem who outplays Reynor in this best of 3 series as he wins 2-0. Lovely games, very cool playstyle.